What's up, fight fans? Welcome to Mr. Mustache MMA News. UFC 325 has wrapped. Today we're going to talk about it from top to bottom. Alexander Volkanovski defends his belt. BSD walks through Dan Hooker. Paramount seemed to fix some of their issues, but some others may have arrived for some of the other users on Paramount. But guys, before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly. Help the channel grow. All right, guys, getting right into it. Starting at the top, right? Alexander the Great Volkanovski defends his belt against Diego Lopez in very similar fashion from the first fight, where Diego just really throughout the fight just seemed to give Volk too much respect. You know, he wasn't really willing to. He was just giving way too much respect to Volk, you know, and Volk, I mean, was just elite movement. He was really able to slow the fight down and just, you know, keep himself out of, you know, danger. Some of the shots that wilder shots that Diego was throwing earlier in that fight, and just the ability to slide in and out of danger and land his shots and kind of punish Diego and get kind of right out of danger again, right back into the green zone. Very impressive. And after the fight, finding out that Diego broke both of his feet, I mean, I'm curious to see when that happened. I definitely think it was the fifth round where I saw he was definitely fucked up on one foot. But he just wasn't really able to make any adjustments, wasn't really able to gain the respect of Volkanovski, wasn't really able to get Volk too much off of his back foot. And when he did put on the pressure, he wasn't really able to land anything. And where it's not that Diego's bad, it just shows how good Alexander Volkanovski is. And he has that championship mindset of he knows how good he is and he's going to go out there and show the world. And he knew that he didn't really have to do too much. He talked about it after the fight in his post-fight press conference, where he knows as the champion, you know, he doesn't really have to bring the fight as much to the contender as the contender does to the champion. And that type of mindset is a lot like, you guys are going to fucking hate me for this. You guys are going to hate me. So I'm going to lose half of you right now. But where, you know, I think John Jones beat Dominic Reyes. Hate me all you want. I said it. But it's just, it's one of those things where, like, the contender sometimes just, they have to do a little bit more to kind of, you know, take the crown. And here Volk was just, you know, undeniable. And here at 37 years old, he's going to be 38 here. What's next? He didn't, you know, he said Laurent. He said Movsar. But he didn't necessarily say either of them is the next choice. And he said that, you know, yeah, that he's simple and that he's willing to go for the next logical choice. Now, they've been talking about Arman Tsarukyan going down to featherweight. And, I mean, if he does do that, cool. I fuck with that. Does he get an immediate title shot? I just think it's so, like, rude and disrespectful to both Murphy and Movsar. Like, maybe they both have a war and they both can't make a quick turnaround to fight Volk. Who knows? You could put Arman Tsarukyan in. It's a very interesting situation. You got Aljamain Sterling, isn't he in there as well? Because he beat Brian Ortega, no? Even though that doesn't age well with Ortega pulling out against Renato Moicano, which is another thing, man. I feel bad for, I don't know what's going on with Ortega, man, but he's getting lit up online right now for pulling out against his Moicano fight. But here with Lopez, you know, after losing twice now for the belt, the UFC, you can tell that they definitely tried to push him to become champion. Okay, the fight was, you know, he made some things happen in the first fight, didn't go his way. Maybe that he'll go back and get the belt again in a second time. Maybe Volk's a little bit older now. Didn't work. You know, Volkanovski showed why he's a true champion in that fight. It's just, I mean, I forgot who said it was Andre Fili said that he's like fighter of the decade. Like, so far, I mean, we're in 2026. That's not a bad take, like, whatsoever. And if he's able to continue that with maybe 2 more wins, dude, Alexander the Great Volkanovski is not a metaphor, right? What a fight. I enjoyed it. You know, a lot of people, they want blood, right? But that was a good title fight. You know, Volk did what he had to do to get the fight done. Diego was not able to make the adjustments. But, man, he broke both of his feet in that fight. Like, that's tough as shit, dude. So, I mean, it's obvious he was, you know, it's hard to press forward when quite literally both your feet are broken. Next up, Benoit Saint-Denis a knockout over Dan Hooker, like a TKO. Where, I mean, Herb Dean, my God, Herb to the death, Dean, just let that shit go, man. Let BSD rain elbows down from top control, top mount position, and just beat up Dan. Where, I mean, Dan was finding a lot of success. You know, I mean, he was beating up Benoit Saint-Denis early on in that fight, those liver kicks. He was fighting tall, long, and lanky. He was doing really well, man. He was utilizing his length. He was fighting like vintage Dan Hooker very early on in that fight, but then he just kind of, I think he even went for the takedown himself, no? And it just failed, and, you know, Dan really didn't do much on the ground, like in the sense of like even really try to get up. And he just kind of let Benoit just do work, do damage, and threaten on all those submissions, which honestly, anybody would have gone out from those arm triangle chokes that Benoit was putting on him. That was insane that he was just hanging in. That was fucking nuts. You could tell he was thinking about tapping several times. But, you know, just shows how much of a dog Dan Hooker is, how good BSD really is. You know, I mean, in the UFC, it shows how much they're still trying to push him because they clearly coaxed Dan in taking this quick turnaround fight against the guy who they have already tried to feed to Dustin Poirier. You know, I guarantee the UFC really thought that Benoit Saint-Denis was going to beat Dustin Poirier a few years back. Dustin spoiled their plans on that fight. But he's definitely a guy where they still want to push because he is exciting. He has a good fight style. He's got the whole country of France behind him. That's just a huge market, right? So he is a guy that you can push. And he's looking better as time goes. And, you know, in a fight that we're going to talk about here, too, where he dominated Mauricio Ruffy in their fight. This is a guy now where he's right in the thick of it. You can start talking about him and Arman. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see a rematch with Ruffy. I think the only way you get a rematch between BSD and Ruffy, I think the timing, like, one of them has to be champion and it has to be for a belt. I think that would just make it, like, that much bigger of a fight. But, I mean, just fuck, man. Just impressive for Benoit to, like, have to struggle through finding that distance and figuring out how to get Dan to the ground. But I think Dan just kind of fucked, you know, he kind of just gave it to him in a sense. But capitalized on it and, you know, got the finish, looked good doing it, had a good press conference after the fight too. He had the Australian hat. But, yeah, it's a great fight. It's a great fight. Next up, dude, Mauricio Ruffy knocked out Rafael Fiziev. What was it, the third round? Like, where first two rounds, Fiziev was showing great pressure, leg kicks in the first round, which was weird because he just totally abandoned that later on in the fight. I don't know, maybe he was hurting his own foot. Because, I mean, think about it. When you're kicking somebody's ankle, when you're kicking their calf, like, your foot is a pretty fragile thing, right? So I'm pretty sure he probably hurt his own foot. Maybe Ruffy checked a kick. I would have to rewatch it. But the pressure of Fiziev, and he was, you know, landing good shots, but just keeping Ruffy off of his back foot for the majority of that fight, where Ruffy was landing phenomenal jabs throughout. I mean, just right through, following through on the jabs, hitting Fiziev at the end of his punches, started to land good leg kicks of his own later on in the fight, and then finally he was able to hit him with that straight and just put him away. And just a sweet knockout where I picked Fiziev in this fight. I thought he was going to have that ability to, you know, kind of bully Ruffy, and it was going his way, but Ruffy just showed, like, nah, I will not be denied, landed that shot, put Fiziev away. And at the weigh-ins, too, when I saw Ruffy, like, just how fucking thick he was, like, on top of him already being long, I, like, almost instantly changed my pick. But, and to hear everything that he had gone through, because I think Volk said he had influenza early on in the week, and I think it was either yesterday morning or the morning before that, he had a really rough morning. He could barely move. I don't know what was really happening, maybe cramps and shit, like, you know, from the weight cut. So to see him kind of battle through his own personal mental adversity on fight week to get there and fight, and to hear everything about his brother too, that, you know, that's tough. So his why was definitely bigger on Saturday night, UFC 325 against Rafael Fiziev. But fucking phenomenal. Fucking phenomenal. Puts Ruffy right back in that position where, not title talks, but he's definitely like 2 fights away from like really being in the that true conversation. I feel like he called out Conor McGregor. I feel like that's what I heard. And I love that fight. I've talked about it before in other podcasts. I like that fight. I think that fight makes a lot of sense. You know, a guy like Conor who has a very similar style to Ruffy, who wants to come back and show that he's still got it. Ruffy is the type of guy who is, you know, he's not super, he's younger, you know, but he's not, you know, he's no spring chicken, right? So I think it'd be a fun fight, and he's big. He's a big lightweight. But I don't think that, I obviously, I don't think that fight gets made, but I fuck with it. I fuck with it. I like it. So whatever. For Fiziev, I mean, honestly, take some time off, right? Like, whenever he steps into the octagon, people watch. He has a big name. He is exciting. He is dangerous. But, I don't know. It's just a lot of ups and downs with him. But, I mean, he's fought nothing but the best. He had the knee injury. The fights with Justin Gaethje. So, I mean, I don't know. Just take some time off, I guess. You know, I don't know. Because, I mean, whoever they match him up with next, I'm watching. It doesn't matter. You have Quill and Saul killed. Would be a fun fight. Would be a fun fight. We'll be talking about him in a minute. Next up, Talison Teixeira. WrestleFucks Tai Tuivasa to a victory where things got saucy. They got a little interesting in the third round, but Tai was just the poor guy just didn't have the cardio to keep going. And as where I had thought that he had gotten in much better shape in his time away, and maybe he did at one point, but it looked like he went back to partying. He showed that during his weight cut and showed that in the fight. Started off the first round, just went crazy and got taken down. I did not expect Talison. I forgot Talison was a fucking black belt. Took him down and just full control. Basically a 10-8 of that whole first round. Dominated Tai. And then the second round, a lot of the same. You know what I mean? A lot of the same thing. And then going into that third, Talison was so tired, he couldn't do anything anymore. Couldn't get the fight to the ground. But then Tai was so tired, even though he was landing the shots that were being thrown in that round and was almost finishing Talison. It got interesting. But Tai was just too tired to finish it. And when he would hurt Talison, he would clinch up. And it was like, why? Why? But we're not the ones in there, you know? And at the end of the day, dude, I mean, take any martial arts class. Guarantee you're going to be the most tired you've ever been in your life in 5 minutes. Guaranteed. Like, guaranteed. So, like, fighting is just a different level of cardio. And to see these bigger guys be able to fight 15 minutes, it's impressive that they can even go that far, right? So, even though the fight didn't really, like, perform in the sense, I was surprised this was kind of on the pay-per-view, the main card. Talison got a much-needed win to show, like, you know, maybe he should show his grappling a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, because that was interesting. It was interesting to see. He was dominant in a very weak division. I think that he can do some pretty, because he's not so great on the feet. He's just big. So, like, I think that, you know, if he does get these fights to the ground early like this, we can start seeing him kind of blossom in front of our eyes. Because for me, he never really passed the eye test, especially with the fight with Derek Lewis. But here, like, even though he, like, kind of looked like shit in his victory, I like the grappling aspect. And as for Tai, right, I mean, it was good to just see him back, but, dude, get in shape, man. Get in better shape leading up to fight week. I know you want to fight, you want to have fun in your life, whatnot. Just get in a little better shape, dude. Like, just a little better. I mean, honestly, and I think that you would benefit tremendously in your performances. You know, but I get it. Like, I'm not the one in there, but just cardio's king, man. Cardio is king. Next up, Quillan Salkhild. I mean, submits Jamie Malarkey in the first round. Neck crank, just where Jamie, you know, did his best, but Quillan was just bigger, stronger, faster, more explosive. Just was able to just kind of do it everywhere. And when the fight got to the ground, that was just kind of it. And where Jamie is a good fighter, valiant fighter, he always shows up to throw down. He, you know, he did his best. He did what he could, showed why Quillin was a minus 1,200 favorite in that fight. But nonetheless, what is that, 3-0, 4-0 for Quillin? And it's funny where it's like we've seen him shine, right? But at the same sense, we haven't really seen any of his holes yet because he does so good so quick. So that's, we don't really know what he's bad at yet. So, I'd like step up the competition. It's kind of like you're kind of forced now to kind of put himself in maybe some ranked opponents. I don't know about Hoofy, but maybe Rafael Fiziev. Just saying. That would be an interesting fight. I'm just saying. Quillin, man, who was almost my rookie of the year. I definitely nominated him last year. Almost knockout of the year. I mean, what he did in Nasrat Haqparast was just like, fuck. And then what he did to Jubilee, fuck. Like, he just put them away. That's the end of the main card. Going into the prelims. Yeah, Billy Elikana submitted Junior Tafa, right? Where Junior cracked him early, dropped him early. Looked athletic. He had good movement for moving all the way down from heavyweight. I was concerned about Junior going into this fight, just how he would look athletically, right? Because losing a lot of weight, that's got to be tough on the body. And he, honestly, for how he looked, he moved like water. He moved really well. In and out movement was very well. His lateral movement was good. Carried the power down. His cardio looked a lot better. Billy was not taking the shots so well. It wasn't looking so good, but he was kind of able to slow the fight down a little bit, later on. But once he got the fight to the ground, dude, and was able to get that fucking submission, that was sick. He got it so quick, and just it was a wrap. And it's interesting to just see the guys, like the toughness of these dudes, and the it's not looking good. You're having to do fucking hit you in your face, and you're able to battle through that adversity, get the fight to the ground, get the sub, change things up, have a plan B, right? Mix the martial art, right? Like the arts of mixed martial. Shout out to Luis J. Gomez on that one. It's just, it's cool to see. And this is kind of going to be a continuing story here throughout the prelims. I thought the prelims were really good. These were really fun to watch. And I wasn't expecting much for Tafa and Elikana, and I left impressed with both of them. Elikana was able to go out there and get the finish in a sloppy way. And Junior, even though in defeat, I thought he looked good on the feet. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked agile, faster than I expected him to be, and carried his power down. He's got to work on the ground game a little bit more, maybe. God, I can't see my fucking computer. Next up, Cameron Rouston. Yes, defeated Cody Brundage. What was that? It was TKO, right? Yeah. Where, okay, on paper, UFC was definitely trying to, give Rouston, I don't want to say an easy win, but Cody is that guy. He's just inconsistent. He has a lot of no contests. Just weird things happen in his fucking fights. And UFC definitely have paired him with guys that they think highly of. So it's more of like, if you want to prove that you're UFC caliber, I mean, Cody Brundage is really a good test, because on any given day, yes, he tends to kind of just give up. Cody Brundage's worst enemy is himself, right? You can see he struggles with that. When he doesn't find the early success, when he's not the hammer early on, he's often the nail the rest of the fight. And we saw that here again. Now, early on, he was doing what he needed, because, I mean, Cameron's so long, tall, long, and lanky, where Cody is not. And he doesn't fight that way either. But he had to somehow get the respect of Rouston, and he did several times. He tagged Rouston. He would blitz in and throw with like ill intent, violent intent, a sense of urgency. But I think he said something going into round 2. I don't know if it was his knee was hurt, something was hurt, and he really just didn't have much to give after that. You just kind of saw him wilt to the pressure, and Cameron Rouston was kind of really able to capitalize on that. Now, where Cameron got the victory, I'm a little worried about it in the sense of, like, he didn't fight to the best of his ability. I know Cody's a dog, right? But I think that, I hate to say exposed, but I feel like even though Cody lost this fight, I feel like he exposed Cameron a little bit in this fight where he left his chin up a lot. He was, I thought, maybe thinking a little too much and was a little stiff. And I feel like once he steps up in competition against some of these guys who are just as good, just as long as him, might be tough for Cameron. But I like him. He's Australian, you know, so he's got that tough mentality. But I don't know, man. Even in victory, for me, he just didn't pass the eye test. And where Cody, where before he gave up, I thought that first round was really, really good for him. Really, really good for him. But tough loss, man. I don't know what's up with Cody next. Sorry, I was looking at a text message. Oh, yeah. All right, next up, Jacob Malkoun dominated Torres Finney, right? So where I want to start with this, I do polls, right? I'm starting to do them again now, where I do every fight. I put the polls up. Everybody gets to pick. Some of them blow up, some of them don't. And on this one, there's about 300 votes, where Torres Finney was picked for about, I think it was about between 77 and 82%. I forgot if that might be a different fight, but it was definitely like 77% at least for Torres Finney. People were hyping this dude up. A lot of us don't think very highly of Jacob Malkoun, where I don't really either. I usually pick against him, but I definitely don't think highly of Torres Finney. I just don't see the confidence and the well-roundedness that he brings up to the UFC level. I think that he can have a lot of success LFA, places like that. When it comes to these guys who are just good everywhere, where Malkoun, big training partner with Robert Whittaker, he can kind of do it. He can give anybody a really good hard time. He's fought a lot of tough competition where he's fought a lot of guys who are better than him, who are no longer in the UFC. He still somehow hangs around and gets dubs. So, and he proved that here in this fight against Torres Finney, where he dominated start to finish, where Torres had no answer, no ability to break a distance, get the fight to the ground. He just could not do anything, just stuck in the mud, where Jacob was just, I mean, landing beautiful combinations throughout the fight, picking him apart, and worked his way to a beautiful, I think, decision victory. I don't think he found the stoppage victory. I don't remember. Which just goes to show how tough Torres is. Yeah, it was 30-26 almost across the board. Where Jacob just looked phenomenal. Where he even said that Torres was tougher than he thought he was going to be, which I think is pretty crazy for how much he dominated that fight. But big victory for Jacob Malkoun over Torres Finney. Next up, man, what a fucking upset. So Jonathan McCaleb submits Oban Elliott. They were supposed to fight before. Fight got canceled. I think Oban had to pull out. And after losing his last fight, forgot the gentleman's name that he fought. I think a South Korean gentleman. I forgot who it was he fought. We lost that fight, lost a lot of hype. So going into this next one, then he had to pull out. They rescheduled it, and there's a little bit of hype. But Oban, you know, this is a fight with what he was able to do early on in his UFC career. A lot of people, you know, he should win this fight. Bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic. First round, he showed that. He was faster. He was hitting Jonathan with, you know, crisp shots. He looked like he was trying to make a point out there, right? Jonathan looked slow, looked hesitant, stuck in the mud, stiff. And he cracked. I think Oban just got a little overconfident. And Jonathan was able to crack him. And from that point on, you see Oban's kind of confidence fade a little bit. And he wasn't really pressing forward as much. And Jonathan was starting to able to work his game a little bit more. Then once he was able to get the fight to the ground, I think it was a single leg sweep. Got the fight to the ground. He's got the rear naked choke. And all respect to Oban Elliott, where he, you know, fought the hands, did not tap, went for the nap. Valiant, right? Like, great victory for Jonathan McCaleb. Phenomenal victory. Big comeback win. You know, I think only helps him, right? Just kind of stole the hype of Oban Elliott. Where now a lot of questions on Oban, where it's like physically he has it, but now we're all starting to see that maybe the pressure's getting to him a little bit, and he's not able to perform at his level. Maybe he's thinking too much out there. That's just food for thought. But even though he got choked out, you know, I think one more good chance against somebody to see, you know, what this guy can do. He's still young, right? Who knows? Maybe the hype is still there because he looked really good early on, especially with that big knockout victory over Basil Hafez, right? Big victory. Man, these fucking early prelims were fun to watch, and one of the biggest robberies I'd seen. Right now, we're going to talk about it. Khan Ofli defeats Yiza, and what a robbery! I mean, gifted to Khan. You don't want to get mad at Khan Ofli, right? This is an issue for the judges, so don't give Khan Ofli shit, because he fought to the best of his abilities. First round, he did buckle Yiza a little bit, but I think the rest of that round, I think even dropped Olfi at the very end of the first round. He was able to drop him in the second round, and then even in the third round, I don't think he was able to get a drop, but he still went out there. I thought he won. I thought it was 30-27 across the board for Yiza in this fight, and like my brother lost out in $1,100. He just did like a six leg parlay, and all of them went his way except for this one, and because of a fucking shitty judges, right? Where it should not have gone for Khan's way. It sucked because he looked really good in this fight. He looked fast, strong, explosive, punishing Ofli in this fight several times. So hopefully the UFC gives him, I don't want to say a favorable matchup, but, a nice quick turnaround. Let's get this going. And hopefully got gifted a decision in his hometown, which just goes to show, man, when you're fighting a guy in his hometown, you can't let it go to the judges. Just can't. So far, robbery of the year, right? Next up, Dam Mar Fan defeated Kim Sang-wook. Sorry, that took a second to read. Where he used just phenomenal elbows, clinch work, faster, just more explosive. He was just more confident. He was just a step ahead and just used really good Muay Thai to just be a step ahead. And Dam Mar Fan, I had never seen him fight before, and it was so cool to see that type of attacking Muay Thai style. And he went out there and just put on a punishing performance. But where Sang, he also, where he was getting beat up most of the fight, he was still the aggressor at a lot of occasions. He had Dam Mar on his back foot against the cage a lot of times, but he was landing a lot of good straights in his own right at times throughout the fight as well. But I think this was a road to the UFC finale, and so big victory for Dam Mar. And hopefully going into the UFC, we get to see some cool matchups with this guy because, I liked he passed the eye test for me. Confidence, athleticism, sense of urgency, grit, will, heart, determination, right? But yeah, big victory. Welcome to the UFC, Dam Mar Fan. Next up, God, I can't see for shit, boys and ladies. Kichiro Nakamura, knocked out Sebastian, how do you say his name? Sebastian Zale. Sebastian brought in a really cool karate stance, really utilized good pressure on Kichiro, where Kichiro wasn't really just throwing anything. He was very hesitant, where he was just kind of Sebastian, just get off a lot of offense, a lot of shots, leg kicks, jabs. Sebastian was putting on work. He was looking good. And then going into that third round, you saw Kichiro just kind of like, all right, I got to do something now. I got to pull the trigger. And where he started really hitting Sebastian with a lot of knees before he hit the kill shot, right? But he was really a lot of punching, leg kicks and jabs. Really started to push Sebastian on his back foot. I don't really know what happened. Maybe he got hurt in the fight, or maybe he was just gassed out, or Kichiro just started to find his own confidence and just put Sebastian on his back foot, landed a couple nasty knees up the middle, and then found the kill shot with that third knee, put Sebastian away. And a phenomenal fight. The way to battle through adversity, collect your data, and finally, put your opponent away. Where that guy, he was doing work. He was getting confident. He was walking his way to a victory. And winner and loser of this fight, I hope Sebastian still gets a contract with the UFC, because I passed the eye test. He had a fun attacking style. You don't see a lot of karate guys out there have success like this. And he got knocked out, right? But he was fun to watch. And I think that I'd like to see him fight in the UFC still. And if not, Karate Combat if they can pay their athletes. But as for Kichiro, congratulations. Found the kill shot. Got that contract, road to the UFC, right? Now you're going to be thrown with the big dogs. And let's see what you can do. And he looks, strong, athletic. And I think a big thing with him is just confidence. I think confidence is going to be a big factor into the success of his future, which is a big thing with most fighters, all fighters really, right? But last but not least, right, Lawrence Liu defeated Sulang Rangbo, where I was kind of in and out of the fight, but I thought Sulang was winning the first 2 rounds. I liked his combinations, good uppercuts. He was just really good reactive shots to the grappling. I thought Lawrence Liu was a lot slower. So from what I saw the first 2 rounds, I don't really remember the 3rd round, but those first 2 rounds, I definitely remember thinking, Sulang won that first 2 rounds. I just thought that he did enough work, enough damage, enough striking, even though he was off of his back foot and he was defending takedowns. I thought he was doing enough to win the first 2 rounds. But congratulations for Lawrence Liu winning his road to the UFC title and going into the UFC. But I think I'd like to see Sulang Rangbo also, just like Sebastian Saleh, in the UFC. I got the worst cotton mouth right now, guys. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I don't know. Fun event. Paramount, I thought that they did better with no commercials, right? Or like less of them. We got to see the walkouts. We got to see in-between rounds with corner work, stuff like that. There was a little bit of glitchiness, but I don't think it was, I don't think it was that bad. It didn't really, I think it was only 1 or 2 fights. It didn't really impede my ability to even really watch the fight. So you definitely see the improvements with Paramount going into this second event, and that they're definitely listening to their fans and trying to do what's right and give us a premium product. I think so far it's great. Nothing to complain about. Nothing. And they got all the fights already separately categorized. So I've been able to rewatch a bunch of them already today and kind of just jump right on. So nice start to the Paramount era. Next week we got Bautista versus Vinicius Oliveira. I'll be talking about that probably tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. My goal is to put out the main card Mondays, the prelims Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if I don't get the main card out on Monday. The goal is to have everything out by Thursday for everybody. Tonight, Zuffa 2, so I'm probably going to be watching that. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of the event, guys. If you guys haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're new to the show, welcome to the show. Thank you. If you're still here, if you're still watching, fuck yeah. But I'll see you guys next week. I'll see you guys, I guess I'll see you guys this week. But Mr. Mustache, MMA News out. Let's fucking go, fight fans.